Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're diving back into our series dedicated to breakfast dim sum food classics with one of the more unique and interesting takes that I have come across to a Taiwanese zhongyobing. For those unfamiliar, a zhongyobing, or often colloquially green onion or scallion pancake, is a small bite dish of Taiwanese origin that features a wildly simple dough of flour, water, and salt. The dough is then rolled, coiled, and rolled again to create its iconically flaky and delicate texture, which is perplexingly created without the use of butter, egg, baking soda, or any form of leavening agent whatsoever. And if you ask me, that is absolutely some form of black magic, or I guess also just really good rolling technique. For those following along, some may recall that this is certainly not our first attempt at a green onion pancake. A few months back, we also did a version of a Shanghainese scallion flatbread leavened with baking powder, which, though similar in preparation, has a wildly different end result, as you might guess, because of its use of a leavening agent. For our version today, however, we're going to take a look at how to make a classic Taiwanese flaky zhongyobing using literally nothing but flour, water, and salt. But then in addition to this, I also thought it would be fun to take a look at these Taiwan Tacos made popular here in the Bay by the pop-up Chino Grande, which essentially involves taking our green onion pancake, then rolling it up into a taco with a bit of rousong pork floss, egg, and Siracha aioli. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so diving right in, I'm kicking things off here first with the only other ingredient in our green onion pancake today, which is, you guessed it, some green onions, about 4 of them. We're removing the root ends here first, then separating the whites and greens and slicing them up thinly. I'm separating these today because we're going to be adding the whites directly to our dough while reserving these more delicate greens to roll inside of the taco itself, hopefully leaving them a little bit more raw when we bite into it. Then moving right along to our dough here, we're using a 2-to-1 ratio of flour to water, so this is about 2 cups of AP flour and 1 cup of warm water, followed by a healthy pinch of kosher salt and, of course, the whites of our green onions. Now, you might have noticed I did say about 2 cups because cup measurements with AP flour is notoriously inaccurate, so personally my preference is to keep about a half cup or so of bench flour on hand and add this as needed, keeping a close eye on the texture and tackiness of my dough as I work. We're looking for a cohesive dough to start forming that pulls away from the sides of the bowl, but is also still fairly wet and tacky too, though. Next up, I'm breaking out an ounce scale here and weighing my dough balls out to 5 ounces apiece. I'm liberally flouring my work surface, then starting off by forming my dough into a rough coin shape first, then proceeding to roll it out with a quarter turn after each roll until about 8 to 10 inches in diameter. I'm adding some sesame oil and a pinch of the greens of my green onions to the center of my pancake, then rolling the whole thing up first horizontally, then again vertically so that we end up with a nice coiled ball like so. Then next I'm forming the coiled dough into yet another coin shape and repeating this whole process, rolling the dough out with a quarter turn after each roll again. This is the real secret to creating those flaky layers to your pancakes, so settle in and don't get impatient here because we're in for a lot of rolling. Once our pancakes are nice and rolled out, I'm using that pie dough trick with the rolling pin to transfer my dough to a tray, then setting aside for a moment while we assemble our Siracha aioli next. Okay, so those following along may recognize here that this is maybe the 3rd or 4th time that I have repurposed this Siracha aioli. In past attempts, we have also made this aioli from scratch using egg yolks, but I didn't really notice a huge difference in quality, so today I'm just going with a half cup of plain old mayo here. To pair with this is a single tablespoon of honey followed by 2 tablespoons of sriracha going in. I'm rounding this all out with a half teaspoon each of garlic powder, dashi powder, and thyme, then whisking everything together until a smooth aioli forms. If you've got one, I'd also recommend adding this to a squeeze bottle so you can do one of those chefy zigzag things later on too. Finally, last up, we're whisking up some eggs for our Taiwan tacos here. This is 4 eggs whisked to combine with a half teaspoon of white pepper, a single tablespoon of Shaoxing wine, and a pinch of kosher salt. Over on the stove, for the first time in quite a while, I've put my wok away today in favor of a flat-bottomed skillet. I'm going with cast iron today, but carbon steel or Teflon would work nicely too. Really just go with whatever is most reliably non-stick for yourselves. We're heating the pan up over medium heat today, then adding about 4 tablespoons of peanut oil and frying our pancakes for about 2 minutes per side until golden brown. We want our pancakes to be crispy but still fairly pliable and soft too. Remember that we're going to be rolling these into tacos in a moment, so I'm pulling these off of the pan about 30 to 40 seconds earlier than I normally would with a more standard songyobing. Next up, we're moving on to our Taiwan tacos next. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these have become pretty popular here in the Bay Area thanks to a Taiwanese fusion pop-up known as El Chino Grande. I'm reheating my skillet here over medium heat with an additional 2 tablespoons of peanut oil, then adding my egg to the pan and spreading it evenly across the surface until a thin layer of egg forms. Then I'm adding my pancake back to the pan right on top of the egg, dislodging the egg with my spatula, saying a little bit of a prayer, and I'll take that. In any case, here's my Siracha aioli going on top first, followed by a little bit of hoisin sauce next, and of course a third and final serving of the greens of our green onions as well. Then next, I'm adding a healthy serving of rousong pork floss to the center, and using my spatula to roll this whole thing up into a taco, more like a wrap, or a burrito I guess, I don't know. Anyway, over on the cutting board, we're slicing this thing open for our first cross-section in a while, and we're ready to eat. Okay, so I'll start off by mentioning that despite how dead simple this dough is to make, they are also fairly difficult to get exactly right too. I personally have been making songyobing since I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. I think it really actually is the very first thing that I learned how to cook, and I genuinely think that I only recently managed to perfect this rolling technique. So, all this to say, don't get discouraged if your pancakes aren't quite as flaky and soft on your first attempts, because I have absolutely ended up with a lot of doughy, chewy, and inedible disasters over the years. If you do get it right though, a songyobing in its raw form freezes really well, which makes them great for meal prep and quick breakfasts when you don't have a lot of time to cook. To pair with this, I also think the Taiwan taco is a super fun preparation as well. The salty and bold qualities of that rousong dried pork floss works really nicely with the more subtle qualities of our songyobing. Then the addition of our Siracha aioli helps to add a little bit of moisture to the whole thing as well, since the dried rousong is, well, dry. Finally, the last bit that I'll mention one more time is that I absolutely am not the creative mind behind this preparation. I'm pretty sure I have come across something like this in the Taiwanese night markets when hunting for street food, but here in the Bay, the Taiwan taco is the creation of El Chino Grande. They just opened up a restaurant in SF called Piglet & Co., so if you happen to be in the area, definitely go check them out too. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. For those who are new to the channel, this one is part of a larger series dedicated to classic Chinese dim sum breakfast food, so definitely check out that series next if you haven't yet, because there's a lot of these. For the Bay Area locals, the Wu Can Cook fried rice pop-up is now at Wonders Brewing in Emeryville every Thursday through Sunday, so come by and say hi if you can. More about that at wucancook.com/eats. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, be nice interneters, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Stone on you all the time.